Hey guys, welcome to the video. If you are new, welcome to the channel. If you're a returning viewer, I appreciate it. Welcome back. So to get right into this video, I actually wanted to make an all-encompassing but overall video kind of discussing my experience at Marine Corps Officer Candidate School. So for those of you who don't know, that is the initial training or the entry-level training for a soon-to-be officer in the United States Marine Corps. So like I said, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. All right, so like I said, starting from the very beginning, I think the first thing I did in terms of like OCS related was I hopped on the plane. All right, so I flew out of actually near my school. So I go to school in the Bronx in New York, but I actually live in Connecticut. So I flew out of I think it was JFK, and just had a direct flight in the morning from JFK to Washington D.C. Wherever you fly out of, you'll get flown from wherever that is to Washington D.C. It's like that's about an hour away from Quantico. So that was the first thing I did. Right, I had an early morning flight. And it's nerve-wracking from the get-go, right? It's like, okay, you know, what to expect. I don't know what to expect. There's not really many online resources that really fully and wholeheartedly explain OCS. So, you know, the tensions were there. I was excited. I was really ready. I think, you know, I was mentally and physically ready to go. But, you know, the fear of the unknown is definitely a big thing. So hopping on that plane was a little bit, you know, a little bit nerve-wracking, right? I had, like I said, an early morning flight. I got at the airport at maybe like 5 or something like that, 6 in the morning. Got over to DC, went over to basically an area where all the officer candidates were from all across the country were meeting up. We were meeting up. They had like a bunch of like free snacks and stuff. And I got the opportunity to talk to a lot of the guys that I'd be in the cycle with. So whether they were doing only the 6 weeks or the full 10, I had the opportunity to meet them. And some of them, you know, I got to like exchange like contact information with. Some of them actually have seen my YouTube videos, which is actually pretty cool. They asked me if I was on YouTube. I was like, yep. I mean, I haven't made many videos, but yes, I am on there. So if you saw me, that's pretty dang cool. So after that, you sit there for a while. I was sitting there for a while, just waiting for the like Quantico staff or like the like liaisons basically to pick us up. So they picked us up at around 1. I think I got there at like 8:30 or 9, something like that. So I was sitting around for a couple hours, but it didn't really matter. Like I said, just chatting, hanging out. Everybody else is the same thing. Kind of like tensions are rising. We're not sure what to expect. So it's kind of puts you at ease when you kind of meet a couple of buddies or a couple of friends and kind of chat with them. So we had the liaison staff come. You know, it's enlisted Marines and you know and 1 or 2 officers, and basically we went through a line just doing some like basic paperwork stuff, nothing really crazy. And then they assigned us a bus like spot and seat, and we went ahead and loaded up the buses and started making our way over to Quantico, right? So Quantico, so there's, you know, Quantico, Virginia, but the base is it's Quantico Marine Corps base, right? But where you'll be during OCS is only a small portion of the massive Quantico base. That small portion is called Brownfield. That is where Marine officers are made. There is no other location where Marine officer candidates are built. Like, you know, I know for like enlisted Marines, they have Parris Island and then like San Diego. It's like West Coast. But in the case of the Marine Corps, in case of the officers, there's only one spot, right? And that's Quantico. So I had ROM. So I had, it's a restriction of movement. So it was 2 weeks. This was not the first year of COVID, but the second year. So my class was OCC 237. Shout out to you guys if any of you guys watching are 237. And I actually know 238, I think, just graduated. So congrats if you're one of those guys. Good luck to 239, which should be starting in a few weeks. But in any case, so I was like this. It was the second year of COVID when COVID was really starting to kind of not be like as prominent of an issue, and so I I still though had to do 2 weeks of basically sitting in a room of like quarantining. So we drove to not Brownfield. We drove to like basically a spot where there were like old barracks, and we just stayed there for 2 weeks. They gave us food. We took online classes. It was nothing crazy. I'm not going to dive into that because if you're watching this video, you probably won't ever have to do it, so it doesn't really matter to you. But after 2 weeks was up of quarantine, we were tested every day or whatever, most days, but our temperatures were taken all the time. We had our first day at Brownfield. So that was like the start of OCS, which if you go there, you'll go right to Brownfield. All right. So the first thing you do is it's like 5 or 6 days, and it's an in-processing period. So basically what it means is that you're not actually like, the training isn't starting yet. They have to like double check like your medical work. They have to double check your paperwork. And like they issue you like a couple pieces of gear. It's pretty mundane stuff. It's all like logistical. You're given like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 sergeant instructors. Each platoon's assigned these guys, but they're not actually your staff for the cycle, and they're not really in your face or yelling or screaming. Their job is basically just to get you from point A to point B on time. I mean, if you piss them off, they do like raise their voice and scream at you and get upset, but for the most part, that's not really their goal, nor is it really what they're there to do. Their purpose is literally just to get you through in-processing, right? So my in-processing, got to meet like some of the guys in my platoon. I didn't know them well, didn't have a lot of time to chat with them, but I also got to understand like how the routine will work for the cycle. So it was like how we do like hygiene at night. So like how we do like showers, like the way that we, do the hygiene schedule as a whole, how we like, set up for PT in the morning, what the chow hall looks like, and the procedures for, basically flowing through the chow hall in an orderly manner. There's a lot of like little finite details at OCS that they want you to know before the training starts. So when it does start, you have like at least a loose idea of how everything works, because some of the kids, when they're getting screamed at, they just don't comprehend like anything. And it takes them like a couple days to actually start to realize like, oh, there's information like being told to me. I need to like actually register and do it, right? Most of the kids were just shell shocked when they started getting yelled at, but I'll get into that. So like I said, we did in-processing. I don't know. It was, at first I was kind of like let's, I've been sitting in a room for 2 weeks. So I was like, let's get this show on the road. Like, let's meet the staff and let's hit it, So, they keep talking and keep, hyping up this pickup day, right? Pickup day. And what pickup day is it's when you meet your staff, right? The sergeant instructors, like the 5 sergeant instructors that'll be in charge of your platoon, as well as your platoon commander. And that was an interesting day for me. All right. So, and for everybody it is really, right? So we woke up in the morning, usual time, wake up at 05 at Quantico. So, if you're not an early riser, you might want to get used to it. Wake up, we went to morning chow, and then we went right over to Yekel Hall. That's like the lecture hall, but it's basically like where you have all your classes throughout the cycle. We went there, and the colonel of OCS, he basically talked to us, gave us a motivational speech about how it's tough, but it's designed to be tough, and if it was easy, anybody could do it, right? And that's why the Marine Corps is so elite. And then he went and introduced the staff, right, for the entire company. So I was Alpha Company 3rd Platoon. So he introduced the staff, and all of Alpha Company was in the lecture hall at the time. It's a big lecture hall. So he introduced each platoon's staff, right? So he says like Alpha Company 1st Platoon staff, and then you hear like off to the side, right, because they're on a stage. You hear like, wait, match, and you just see like this this little like perfectly straight like line of like scary looking dudes that come out of the side door of the stage and then march across the stage. I mean, perfectly in step, and looking at these guys like scary looking dudes, right? Dudes who are, jacked beyond belief, that are busting out of their rolled sleeves, which look super crisp, by the way. Tats lined up for some of them just down their arms. and just a look of just mean. Like they looked like mean dudes, right? Scary guys, but they look like Marines. Like they look like, because that's obviously what they are, but they were like the poster child of the Marine Corps, is these drill sergeants, and I mean, are these sergeant instructors, and they freaking were, right? So first platoon staff comes out. My heart already sinks after I see first platoon. I was like, holy crap, these are scary looking dudes, right? Second platoon, my guys, my staff come out, and same as the other two platoons. They're scary looking, right? So then the colonel talks some more. The staff actually comes down into where everybody's sitting, and they basically surround the platoon where we're sitting, and they're all just like standing at attention facing the platoon. And then you hear like take charge, carry out the plan of the day, and it's just bam, it's like go time. It's like you flip the switch, and they're going at you, right? They're playing games. Okay, like stand up, okay, sit down now, like open your fat little mouth, like it's the whole nine, right? And they play with you, right? They play with you for like the first 2 weeks. All right, the first 2 weeks is called transition phase, and that's basically where the sergeant instructors just screw around with you like the whole time, right? That's what they do. It's the opportunity for them to wean out a lot of the less disciplined and less determined guys. The ones who aren't willing to put up with the games shouldn't be there in the first place, and they're not dedicated enough to stay to endure like the mental and physical pain that it's going to take to be a Marine Corps officer. And I'm not just talking about at these entry level trainings. I'm talking about in the actual fleet, because obviously OCS, everybody talks it up as like so big and bad. Same thing with boot camp, right? But any Marine will tell you this, is that the hard part starts when you become a Marine, not the entry-level training. If anything, that's prepping you for the least you're going to see, because when you get out into the field, I mean, it's a whole different ball game. And I don't have that experience yet, but I know damn well that that's the case, right? So for those first 2 weeks, they're screwing with you whole time, right? Messing with you, playing games with you, yelling, screaming. We started off with 73 kids. We had a number of kids drop. It's called DOR, drop on request. Drop on request. Basically, they dropped in those first 2 weeks, and it's to be expected. That's when the most kids usually drop, right? So after those first 2 weeks, they're kind of playing with you, they're messing with you, and I mean, I had my fair share of times when, I got messed up more or less. Little things like, I think, I'm trying to think what's a good story that I could kind of just tell. Actually, yeah, so one time, so you get issued rifles, right? And I was told to take my rifle everywhere, right? But the rifles are always supposed to stay with the platoon too. So if one of the candidates in the platoon, whatever, needs to go to medical, he needs to bring a buddy with him to go there, right? And so usually there's somebody, one of the corpsmen will come pick them up. But this was the middle of the day, and he needed to go for some sort of checkup. So I volunteered to be his buddy, and we left the chow hall a little bit early. I grabbed my rifle, and I started running over, because I had to go drop him off and wait there just for a little bit. It was something quick, and then we were going to be right back. But I brought my rifle, and he had to go back to squad bay for whatever reason. And I remember grabbing my rifle, running into the squad bay, again, bringing my rifle away from the platoon. My platoon comes outside, and we're in the squad bay. I could see them from the window. Then my platoon commander comes in, and he's like, "Danko, what the hell are you doing?" And I was like, this candidate does not know, sir. Like, did this candidate do something wrong? Is what I'm thinking in my head. Obviously, I did, right? Sure enough, he tells me, like, the rifles never leave the platoon. He said, like, you're about to find that out. So get back to the platoon right now. So I run over there, and I just got berated, I think, by every single one of them. I hear, like, "Danko!" And I was like, oh, crap. And I'm running back and forth, because one of them's calling me on, like, one side of the platoon, and then another one from the other side of the platoon is like, "Danko, get your stinking you-know-what over here," right? And I'm like sprinting back and forth. And then the company commander, right, who you won't ever talk to personally, he comes over. And the company commanders, the officers, they don't yell at you, but they give you the stern talking to that you're like, crap, like I screwed up. And when the company commander has to talk to you, even when the platoon commander has to individually talk to you, you know you messed up big. So I got these, like, two of the sergeant instructors who are just screaming at my face back and forth. I'm running to one, running to the other, running to one, running to the other. And then the company commander is just, he's, you know, whatever, going off on me too. Platoon commander is kind of sitting off to the side, more or less just like with the disappointed face, like the disappointed dad look. And I just remember, like, I think that night or something, a couple of the guys came up to me and was like, damn, man, like, rough day, huh? And I was like, yeah, it was not my day today, that's for sure. But whatever, that's just one little story there. So then you get into adaptation phase. This is when the sergeant instructors kind of pull back a little bit. They're still yelling at you, they're in your face, but it's not as focused in the adaptation phase. At this point, they want you to start retaining information. They want you to start, you're going to classes, and that's when you're starting to study for the tests. Side note, I'll make a video on the academics if you guys want a video on that. And if you want any videos, by the way, pop a comment in the comment section below or reach out to me on social media. I respond to everybody about questions, training, whatever it is. So, so hit me up on those. Also, right now, real quick, if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. A like and a subscribe. It means a lot for the channel. It helps me grow, helps me reach more officer candidates or people just interested in hearing about the training as a whole. So if you haven't already, please make sure you do that. All right, please and thank you. So back to what I was saying. Adaptation phase, that's when you get into your first field exercise. That's when you basically have a tent. You'll go out into the woods. You're doing different drills, different exercises. That's a particular thing. I can talk about that in another video too. There's a lot of rabbit holes I could go into explaining all this, but I'm not going to do that because this video would be like 3 hours long. So you do your first effects. So, you get to eat MREs, go out into the field, camp, smell like not good stuff because you can't take a shower at night, but you were sweating all day. It's not like the squad bay where you have showers and actual toilet to do your business on. You got porta potties and junk. So then you'll do your first LRC, and I think second LRC as well as SULI 1. Those are, so LRC stands for Leadership Reaction Course, and SULI is Small Unit Leadership Evaluation. Again, I'll make a video on that. Don't worry about those right now, but those are graded events. That's why I'm mentioning them. So you start really doing your graded events in the adaptation phase. I think you do your initial PFT in the transition phase, but adaptation phase is when they start grading and evaluating you as an individual, like what it's like what's going on with you, right? So in my case, I adapted pretty well. I knew what to expect. I've been to a couple different military type schools, and I've gone through some very minor training elements or aspects where I've been yelled at. I did ROTC for a little bit, so I kind of had I'm not some sort of veteran, but I did have a little bit of exposure to that. So the yelling and screaming was an adjustment, but it wasn't terrible. Adaptation phase was when I had started to really settle into the daily routine, and doing the graded events it brought an element of excitement but pressure, but I liked that because it kept my mind off of home and friends and stuff. And I'm not really a overly homely guy, in that I don't really, when I leave home, I'm not crying for my mom or anything like that, or whatever, missing my family too much. But even still, just kind of gets your mind more focused on those, and it helps the time pass way quicker. Again, like I said, in that time, was just kind of going about it, doing the LRCs, doing the SULIs. I did well in my first 2 leadership evaluations. So I had a billet, which I talked about leadership billets in another video. I had a billet. I had one of the highest grades from the beginning, which I was excited about. I was happy about. I did my initial PFT went well. I ran like a 17-something 3 mile, I think, and then I think I maxed out on everything else. Maybe I didn't max out on the maybe it was the pull-ups or something. Maybe I was too short or something like that. Like I did 21 instead of 23 or something like that, right? Then the LRCs and the SULIs, I had some of the highest grades too, which I was actually really pleased about. I got I think a 95 and a 98 or something like that. SULI 1, I got a 90 something. So from the get-go, it was going well. Even the tests, I was doing about average on the tests. I had this, like, I don't know, maybe it's just the lack of sleep or whatever, but for some reason, like, my body did not adjust into where, like, I was falling asleep, like, all the time. And, like, anybody could say, like, right, well, duh, obviously you're running out of sleep, so obviously you're gonna be tired. In my case, I just never adjusted. I just kept falling asleep because I focused so heavily on recovery at home, with training and stuff, that I don't know. Maybe I just I'm not used to getting the no sleep. But throughout the cycle, even every day I'd sit in class, I'd pretty much start falling asleep. And one of my buddies would be like nudging me and just be like, "Hey, like get up, get up, get up." I'd go stand up at the back. You know, always happened. So during this phase, that's like that. Some of my tests were like meh grade wise, but other than that, the other evaluations were going well. Everything was working out nicely. We got our first Liberty period, which was super cool. It was an opportunity for us to get our phone back just for like 2 hours or 3 hours on a Sunday. Get our phone back. We got to go to the PX, which is just like, it's the exchange. It's like a trading post, like a convenience store almost. We bought, like, I went and bought like some stuff I needed for the week, and then like some candy and, you know, some junk, and just like ate whatever I wanted. And I just like called, like, I think, you know, my mom, my dad, just like, hey, what's going on? You know, hey, OCS is going well. They kind of gave me an update about some stuff that was going on at home, so I thought that was nice. And then I just listened to music and just kind of like relaxed. So that was cool, right? And you start getting more lib as the weeks progress. So I think that was like the third week or something we got our first lib. At one point we had like a full day's worth. Like Liberty started at like, you know, 08 and finished at like 1600. So we had the full day, and we were allowed to leave Brownfield. So there's like a McDonald's, there's a Dunkin', there's a Domino's, there's a big PX, so you can go out and do whatever you want. You got your phone, like, it's nice. Like, it's so cool to like actually leave and not be like zoned in 24/7, like just to get a little bit of time to decompress. You could even go back to squad bay and sleep if you wanted to, which I didn't. I probably should have, and I would recommend you do. Don't go out and do what I did. I literally would go out and like eat a flipping full pizza, eat like a dozen donuts. I had like, I think I got 9 Subway cookies, and I just like crushed them all. And like I sent it on like everything. And that was stupid. I felt like junk the next day. Like I wanted to throw up so much. I ate so much crap. But you're like sweating and running and walking around all the time at OCS. Like, you lose a bunch of weight, doesn't matter what you eat. You'll find that out like soon enough. All right. So, you know, carrying on pretty much, kept going with the leadership events, Sully 2 and 3. Those were just different, you know, events that I did. And, you know, they went well. I had decent grades in those. I had like above a 90 on both, I think. But they get more technical as you get to the higher numbers. So it gets harder and harder. Also, decision making is when the sergeant instructors kind of back off, and they don't tell you what to do at all for the most part. It's on you, but when you screw up, they're there to correct you. So, you know, that went well. And then, you know, lastly, mentorship and out processing. That's your last little bit, right? Last opportunity, you know, to talk to the sergeant instructors. They are like almost like not friendly, but like they kind of really drop their guard, and you get to talk to them about any questions you have about being an officer after OCS, being in the fleet, right? So, you know, you're giving all your equipment back. So moto events, there's Medal of Honor run. There's a field day where you'll compete with different companies in like a couple of various, or in a few different athletic events. And then there's a Tarzan course, which is like a confidence course. It's just like a bunch of different, you know, ropes and all this stuff, right? That was that towards the end. That last week is pretty nice. You get to kind of kick back, relax, and enjoy your last little bit of time. I don't want to say enjoy, but get through your last little bit of time. Then you have graduation ceremony. You go through it, and you're done. It's like a sigh of relief on that, you know, from that front. So you know, that's OCS as a whole. I know I kind of zipped through the last little bit there, but it's pretty much the same stuff over and over. Like, you know, with the exception of the graded events changing, the routine's the same, which I made a video on the typical day in a life. Like, so as a whole, the flow is the same. The only thing that changes is like what you eat, and I don't know, like the liberty, like the length of liberty, right? And the responsibility level does change too. I think the hardest part about OCS, I mean, with the exception of maybe the heat, is really just the grind of doing the same thing over and over. It's not the evaluations. Like I feel like anybody who's determined and who wants to do it can pass those. But it's the grind of waking up at 5 in the morning. You're going to bed at, like 9 every night, which isn't bad, but you figure if you're studying, if you're, like rolling sleeves, if you're whatever, like just, chilling in the bathroom talking to your boys, like that is, that like lack of sleep, because when you're in the field, you're only going to get like, I don't know, like a few hours at most. There's some days we only get like 2-3 hours. I mean, you wake up at like 2:45, like, maybe 03 in the morning when you're in the field. So the sleep isn't there, but it's the grind as a whole, So when I finished, graduation was, crazy. It was a good opportunity for me to, or this experience as a whole was a good opportunity for me to realize like what it's like to earn something. And like, I'm not going to give a whole lot of details on the Medal of Honor run and what happens when you get your EGA, because it's your Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. That's like your symbol that you become a Marine. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I feel like that's an experience that should be cherished, but also should be kind of left like in the dark a little bit, because that's the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's good for you guys to not know. You don't need to know everything going into it. And that's one of the things, like, it's not a secret, but I will say when you get that in your hand, I'm not gonna lie, like a couple tears were shed on this face. I'm not gonna lie, when I got that Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, just to think like those, those weeks of constant work are done, and that like I earned that. We started with 73 guys, we ended with like 52. We lost like 20 guys in our platoon alone, and that's one platoon out of 3 platoons in a company. So that's 1 out of 3 platoons that lost 20 guys. So it's not for everybody. This experience is not for everybody. But it sure as heck was awesome to finish it, to close out on it. Just the grind every single day, right? So this video is already getting longer than I wanted it to be. So if you stuck around this long, awesome. I appreciate it. If you want more videos, I do want to make another video. I'll answer some frequently asked questions, like some more in-depth specific questions, because I know this was kind of broad. I just wanted to give you guys an overview. Feel free to hit me up on social media. I'll leave my accounts below, or comment on the video, and I'm happy to make a video if I see enough of the same questions on that. But I always respond back. I always reach back out to people. So don't be shy. Don't be a stranger. I'm here to help everybody. Again, if you've already been to OCS, good for you. If you're going there, like, good luck, kid. It's gonna be a time. It's gonna be experience, but you want it bad enough, you're gonna get through it. Doesn't matter how hard it is. All right. So again, like I said, I'll make a video on FAQs. I'll make a video on a couple different specific things, graded events and such. Whatever you guys want to see, like, literally just let me know, and I'm happy to make those. So without further ado, again, I appreciate the time. Appreciate you guys reaching out. I hope this video was insightful to you. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.